I used to believe that silence meant peace, that if a house was quiet at night, then love was sleeping safely inside it. I was wrong. Silence is where lies breathe. Silence is where betrayal learns how to walk barefoot. My name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I was his wife, and he never knew I was watching him die, slowly, while he thought I was still in love. I met my husband when I was 23, young, hopeful, trained by society to believe that marriage was safety. He was charming, controlled, gentle in public, the kind of man who looked faithful even while lying. Our wedding photos still make people jealous. White lights, soft smiles, his hand on my waist like I was something precious. I remember thinking, I'm lucky. That was my first mistake. The first year of marriage was perfect. Or maybe it was rehearsed. He woke up early. He kissed my forehead before work. He asked about my day. He touched my hand like it meant something. But love doesn't disappear suddenly. It leaks. And I began noticing the stains. It started with his phone. Not messages, not calls, silence. His phone never rang when I was near. Notifications vanished the moment I entered the room. He never left it face down anymore. And one night, I reached for it. He grabbed my wrist. Hard. Too hard for an accident. "Why do you need my phone?" he asked, smiling. That smile. That was when suspicion moved into my chest and refused to leave. From that night on, I started listening instead of trusting. He began working late, then traveling for meetings, then helping a friend. His excuses evolved, his lies matured, and I became quiet, because women like me don't scream, we observe. I started tracking time, patterns, energy. He came home smelling different, not perfume, something younger, sweeter, temporary. Once, while doing laundry, I found a long hair on his shirt. It wasn't mine. I held it between my fingers for a long time, long enough to understand something important. He wasn't cheating with one woman, he was collecting them. The truth arrived by accident. I was using his laptop one afternoon. Mine was charging. His email opened automatically. And there it was. A calendar. Not work meetings. Not deadlines. Names. Different women. Different times. Different cities. Color-coded. My stomach didn't drop. It froze. He wasn't hiding anymore. He was organized. I didn't cry. Not yet. I clicked beeper. Hotel confirmations, flight bookings, private messages archived and labeled like files. Some women thought they were special. Some thought they were exclusive. Some knew about others and didn't care. None of them knew about me. His wife, the woman who cooked his meals, washed his clothes, defended him in public. I closed the laptop slowly. That night, I slept next to him and listened to him breathe. I remember thinking, if I wake him up now and scream, he wins. So I didn't. Instead, I started planning. Revenge is not rage. Revenge is patience wearing a calm face. Over the next few months, I became the perfect wife again. Softer voice, more understanding, more space. He relaxed. Men always do when they think a woman has accepted defeat. I began collecting evidence. Screenshots, emails, photos. I learned his patterns better than he knew himself. I learned the names of his women, their weaknesses, their expectations. One was emotional, one was ambitious, one wanted marriage, one just wanted money. And I gave them exactly what they wanted, but not directly. I created anonymous messages, subtle truths, hints planted like seeds. To one woman, I sent proof of another. To another, I sent proof of 5. I watched friendships collapse, affairs turn violent, love turn suspicious, and through it all, I stayed silent. At home, he grew paranoid. "Do you trust me?" he asked one night. I smiled. "Of course I do," I said. That smile again, the one that lies better than words. His phone started ringing again. Angry calls, crying messages, threats, women demanding explanations. He thought someone was sabotaging him. He never suspected his wife. The final step wasn't exposure. It was destruction. I filed for divorce quietly, transferred my assets legally, prepared documents with dates, proof, witnesses. Then I sent everything to his family, to his employer, to the women, simultaneously. In one night, his image collapsed. His job terminated him. His parents disowned him. His lovers disappeared. He came home screaming. "You ruined my life," he said. I looked at him calmly. "No," I replied. "You just ran out of places to hide." He begged, cried, promised. Men always promise when power leaves their hands. I signed the papers the next morning and walked out with my dignity intact. Now people ask me, "How did you survive?" I didn't. I transformed. Because I learned something dangerous. A woman who stops loving is more powerful than a woman who is angry. And if you're listening to this story thinking, "This sounds familiar," be careful, because silence doesn't mean ignorance. Sometimes it means preparation. I thought leaving him would bring relief. It didn't. Freedom doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives quietly and asks you to sit with everything you avoided. After the divorce, I moved into a small apartment across the city. White walls, minimal furniture, no shared memories, just silence. But this silence was different. This silence was honest. I stopped wearing my wedding ring on the second day, not because it hurt, but because it felt heavy, like evidence. People assume revenge ends when justice is served. They're wrong. Revenge doesn't end. It evolves. Because the truth is, I didn't destroy him completely. Not yet. I watched him from a distance, how his confidence cracked, how his posture changed, how his voice softened when he spoke to people who once admired him. He became careful, cautious, smaller. And I learned something important during that time. A man like him doesn't stop cheating because he's exposed. He stops only when he believes he is no longer desired. So I let him believe that. Eventually, he called me. I hadn't blocked his number. I wanted to hear his voice, not because I missed him, but because pain has a sound. "Can we talk?" he asked. His voice trembled. "I don't think there's anything left to say," I replied, calmly. Silence. Then he said it. "I made mistakes." Mistakes. Not choices. Not patterns. Mistakes. "I didn't know you were capable of this," he added. I smiled. You never really knew me at all, I said, and hung up. That night I slept deeply because I knew something he didn't. The second phase had already begun. I started rebuilding myself publicly. New routines, new confidence, new image. Not exaggerated, not dramatic, just upgraded. I attended events he used to avoid. I posted photos, not too many, just enough. Strong, calm, independent. People noticed. He noticed. Mutual friends began mentioning me casually. She looks different. She's glowing. She seems happier. That word, happier, it haunted him. Because narcissistic men don't fear hatred, they fear indifference. Then I did something calculated. I started dating. Not seriously, strategically. Men with status, men with presence. I didn't hide it. I didn't flaunt it. I simply existed without him. And that broke something inside him. He began calling again. Longer calls, emotional messages. I miss you. I didn't realize what I had. I can change. I never replied. Silence is crueler than rejection. One night, a message arrived from a number I didn't recognize. It was one of the women, the ambitious one. I think we need to talk, she wrote. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied, meet me tomorrow, noon. She arrived tense, defensive, trying to look superior. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. She spoke first. He lied to both of us, she said. No, I replied calmly. He lied to you. He betrayed me. She flinched. I continued. You thought you were special. You weren't. None of you were. Her eyes dropped. He's not who you think he is, she said softly. I smiled again. I know exactly who he is, I replied. I married him. We sat in silence. Then she asked, how did you do it? Do what? Destroy him without raising your voice. I leaned forward slightly. Because I didn't want revenge. I wanted freedom. That conversation spread. Women talk. Soon others reached out. Some apologized, some cried, some defended themselves. I listened. I absorbed. And I learned. He hadn't stopped, even after everything. He was still trying, just failing. The final blow came unintentionally, or maybe just fate was on my side. I received an email from his company. Legal inquiry. They needed a statement, more details, additional proof. I provided everything. Weeks later, he lost his professional license. Not suspended, revoked. He showed up at my apartment that night, unannounced, uninvited. Broken. You did this, he said, eyes red. I didn't open the door. I told you. You ran out of places to hide. I loved you, he whispered. That was the moment, the final realization. No, I said quietly. You loved how I made you look. Silence. Then footsteps. Retreating. I never saw him again. Years have passed since then. People still ask about him sometimes. I shrug. He's someone I used to know. And it's true, because the woman who married him doesn't exist anymore. She believed love was loyalty. She believed silence meant safety. I know better now. Love without respect is manipulation. Marriage without honesty is imprisonment. And betrayal is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers, smiles, sleeps beside you. If you are listening to this story late at night, if something in your chest feels tight, pay attention, because intuition speaks before proof arrives. And if you ever find yourself choosing silence, make sure it's not submission. Make sure it's strategy. Because some women don't scream when they're betrayed. They sharpen themselves. And when they leave nothing standing behind them.